Up and down these streets, you see all different kinds of people. Doesn't matter where you live, everyone has a story. Everyone has a past. But because of the resurrection, all of us have hope. I started drinking at 14 years old, which evolved to heroin 4 years later at 18. I've struggled for the past 22 years. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars over the 22 years on drugs and alcohol. Gotten myself nowhere, been to 6 different treatment centers, tried everything. First time I walked into the journey, I had ulterior motives. I had just got out of prison. I was supposed to come to get my papers signed. After that, I returned to the journey 6 years later, and what Darren said that day about Jesus relating to communion really got to me, and I felt compelled to go out, and instead of staying in line and take communion, I went and prayed, and that kind of opened my heart to receive the joy and the love that I have today.
My name is Ashley Bennett. I'm 29 years old, and I live in Belleville, Illinois. God has definitely been preparing me for the work that He's doing in my life, and both professionally and personally. I went to school in Belleville, grade school, high school, graduated and went to Olivet Nazarene University, where I studied psychology and social work. And it was during that time that God really captured my heart for a calling toward working with orphans. For 4 years, I worked as a social worker, helping families, and really God obviously had His hand on my professional life during that time. And then there was a time in 2011 where God really challenged me to live this out in my personal life. In October of 2011, I was laid off from my job as a social worker, and even though it should have been a scary, difficult time for me, I really just felt like something big was happening. A few weeks into my layoff, I received an email about some kids in St. Louis whose parents were going through a transition and just needed a family to take care of their children for a little bit. And I looked at all the empty beds I had in my house and the empty dinner table, and I just felt like God was saying, this is why you were laid off. This is it. This is your time. Like, I need you to be a mom to these kids in this season. So on Veterans Day of 2011, I welcomed 2 kiddos into my home, and nothing has ever been the same.
Grew up in a small high school, little corn town high school called Galatia. Around my junior year, God was just speaking to me, you have things in your life over me, and you need to cut them out. There's stuff in between me and you that you need to throw away. So I went to a party with my bags packed to go to church camp, and I went from that party about 3 in the morning to the church to get on the church bus. About 2 days into my experience at church camp, I remember being in worship and watching all these kids and all these leaders, and I felt like I wasn't a part of it. Like I was in the cold, looking through a window of a home at a family, just, eating dinner. Like, it felt like that. I wasn't a part of it, and I wanted it.
I thought I was going to change them. They've done more for me than I could ever have imagined. They have this deep love for Jesus that faith like a child, it's the most beautiful thing. God has come and just given us everything we needed, so much grace and so much love and so much patience. He has taught me. It has nothing to do with my capabilities or these strengths, but just really what God did once I said yes.
And so that's whenever I realized what it means to surrender to God, to give God everything. So I remember just in the middle of worship with all these people that I had no idea who they were, just raising my hands and giving my life to the Lord to follow 110%.
Till I knelt down on the altar and accepted Jesus in my heart, there was a loss inside of me that could not be fulfilled. He is the only one that was there for me. It's a beautiful thing to have Jesus on my side and to have this confidence that I know that I'm going to be taken care of no matter what. All the trials and tribulations, all the adversities that I faced in my life, and I still can keep pushing on because of Jesus.